All right, folks. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining this webinar session today. So before I even get started, can everybody confirm on the chat that you can hear me well and see my screen also? You can just confirm that on the chat. We are good to proceed. Are we good? Perfect. All right. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening based upon wherever you're joining us from. So today our webinar is going to be on Microsoft Build 2021 announcements. So it's been quite a while that we have done a webinar from our meetup group. Well, especially with a lot going on with our country, we just couldn't find the right time to do a session. So we felt that it's good to keep these things on hold and allow some time for things to settle down. So now that we are mostly into the reimagine phase. So we thought that maybe this is the right time to go ahead and kickstart our sessions. So we'll start picking up the rhythm from now onwards. We have a lot of sessions planned. So, so please keep an eye on our meetup group. So we have a lot of webinars, events, boot camps, a lot which has been planned for the rest of this year. So coming to our session today, so we have three speakers and I'll be basically hosting this session. So my name, I'm Vignesh Ganeshan. I'm working as an enterprise cloud architect. Then we have Narasimha Perumal Chandramohan, who's the co-founder of GG Technologies, and he's also a Microsoft MVP. Then we also have Vinoda Muthuvalli, who's a solution architect and same GG Technologies. And then finally, we have Jenkins, who's the founder and director of his own firm, JPower4, and he's also a Microsoft MVP. Okay. So these are some session guidelines. So the duration for our webinar is going to be approximately close to 75 minutes, and it might get extended based on the questions we get during the session, right? So just feel free, just plan some buffer time just in case if some questions comes and we might extend here and there. And just in case you have questions, of course you would have, and we encourage you to come up with your questions. Please post that in the chat window. Of course, your questions are going to be public, but please go ahead and post it. And just in case, if at all you feel that you want to unmute yourself and ask the question, maybe you want to add some more context to your question, we just recommend that you hold on till the end. So we have a specific Q&A plan towards the end of the session, so you can use the Q&A time to go ahead and ask those questions. Of course, this webinar is being recorded and we'll be posting it in my YouTube channel, which is the URL is given there. And if at all you're not a member of this meetup group, please go ahead and we go ahead and start becoming a member of this, because there is so much planned and we just do not want you to miss all the goodness that is going to happen in this meetup group. Okay. And so what is Microsoft Build Conference? I believe everybody who has joined here has an understanding of what MS Build is. But just in case this is something new, maybe you're somebody who has just started your career, or maybe you're just getting to hear about Microsoft Build and you're wondering what this is all about. So Microsoft Build is nothing but is a conference done annually once by Microsoft. And this is specifically intended to the developer audiences, right? So any Microsoft product. It could be Microsoft's cloud, such as Azure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, or it could be Windows or any of the applications that they're using, .NET, or Microsoft has a crazy amount of applications, right? So any such developer related updates will be announced in this conference, right? This used to be an in-person event, but with COVID and a lot of things happening, and with the new world that we are living in, this has been virtual along with Ignite and so many such events. But just in case if you're new to Build Conference, just be mindful that this is more dev focused. And ever since 2011, they started doing Build, and previous to that, they had it was being called as Microsoft Developer Conference, MIX. These were the previous versions of it, but from 2011 onwards, that's when Microsoft Build came up, that branding came up, and ever since then, they've been doing this every year. So agenda, it's pretty simple for this session. We're only targeting Microsoft 365 updates. So MS Teams, Graph, Search, Identity, Security, and compliance-related updates will be, Narasimha Perumal and Vinoda will be discussing about that, and followed by that, Jenkins will come on board and will be talking about all the Power Platform related updates. So When it comes to demos, of course, I as well as you, I believe a lot of us like a session which has demos, but a lot of the features that we are going to talk about today, they are simply not available. So there are going to be some scenarios wherein we won't be able to demo such things, but we made sure that at least we are able to showcase a small clipping or show you an image or something which helps you to understand what is that very future that we are talking about. And then, as I said, we'll be doing the Q&A. Okay. And one more thing, so I just wanted to take advantage of this event and bring up the India Cloud Security Summit that we are planning from our meetup group. So what is India Cloud Security Summit? As the name itself says, right? This is an event which is completely focused on Microsoft's cloud security stack, right? So it could be Azure, it could be Microsoft 365, it could be Dynamics 365, or even the BizApp sides of the world, right? So and everything or anything that you can think from a security standpoint related to these solutions, we are planning to do a 1-day complete virtual event. We have already received 40 plus sessions from all the great speakers in the world. So if at all you haven't registered, that is our event website. So very soon we'll be announcing the sessions, and that is, at least to my knowledge, I don't think there has been any event which has been done so far that is specifically targeted to cloud security alone, right? So this is something that we are planning. So please, if you haven't registered, please go ahead and register for the session because we really have some good sessions there. All right, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Perumal and Vinoda to take it over from here. All right, Perumal, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Let me share my screen.
Sure. Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay. My voice is audible and clear, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay, I will go ahead. Yeah, good evening, guys. Thanks for joining. I will be discussing all the updates related to Microsoft Teams. I am Narsima Perumal Chandramohan, co-founder of GG Technologies Private Limited, and my company provides solutions for Microsoft 365 tenant-to-tenant migration, like SharePoint migration, OneDrive migration, Teams, Planner, Stream, everything across all those products in Microsoft 365. And I am an Office 365 MVP for past 5 years. So this year, for related to all the updates related to Microsoft Teams developers, the real theme is collaborative apps. So this is going to be really a new term. So what is collaborative apps? Earlier, Microsoft Teams is built around the concept of collaboration, that is team collaboration, and to improve the individual productivity. But as all of a sudden, everyone is need to work from home, and in this pandemic situation, Microsoft Teams team have learned a lot of learnings had in this past 1 year, and they have come up with a new term called collaborative applications or a concept collaborative apps. So what is collaborative apps? With collaborative apps, uh, the end users can easily work with others to complete their projects at any time from anywhere and stay in flow work without need to switch between multiple apps and data. Collaborative apps enable synchronous and asynchronous mode of collaboration with real-time meeting, ad hoc meeting, document collaboration, and business process automation, whatever it can be. And for developers to build these collaborative apps easily, there are three things. You can use your existing skill set. That is the first thing. So what you might have already have some app solutions. So easily you can integrate that with the teams using any standard web technologies or JavaScript or anything. So there is not an additional investment that you are going to make. So, and then the next thing is simplified development. So once you build an app for teams, it can be accessed from anywhere. It can be Mac, it can be Windows, it can be web, it can be Android or iOS, whatever it can be. And final thing is the developer choice. Even a citizen developer can use no-code, low-code platform like Power Automate or Power Apps to build the apps for teams. Or you can build, if you are a pro developer, you can build a Teams app using Visual Studio Code or GitHub, whatever it can be. It is up to your choice of development tool chain. So whatever updates that we are going to discuss today are around this collaborative apps concept. We are going to discuss about apps in meetings. So the very first update is shared stage integration. So what is shared stage integration? Currently it is in preview. With the shared stage integration, the developer get access to the main stage in the Teams meeting space. And then using this, the developer can enable real-time multi-user collaboration experience for your meeting apps, like whiteboarding, like designing or project boards, etc. All these things can be done simply by making a simple change in your existing app manifest. Whatever application that you have built for Teams, you can do the shared stage integration easily by making a simple change in your existing app manifest. Let's see this sample clipping for this. So here you can, here you can see that there is an existing Teams app. What they have done is that they have done the shared stage integration for their existing Teams app. This Teams app does the project management. Here you can notice that two users simultaneously making changes to the project management board. All these things has been done by making a simple change. Like you need to make a simple change in your app manifest file. That is, this app can work in the context of shared stage also by including meeting state. That's it. You are done. So there is no additional investment or anything. You can just have your app as a shared stage integration also. And the next thing is media APIs. So with media APIs, the developer get access for the real-time audio and video of the team meetings. So with this, you will get the complete stream of audio and video. By this, you can build scenarios like translation, transcription, uh, insights, note taking, or important points, something, whatever it can be, you can do a lot of things. And the main thing here is that the media APIs are currently available with resource specific consent. With resource specific consent, the admin no need to worry about the privacy and security of the team meeting recordings. So the app will, this particular app will get access of the meetings whenever you are adding this app to the particular meeting alone. So this app will not going to get access for all your team meetings on internet. The app will get only access of the recordings whenever you are adding this app to your team meeting. That's it. So let's see in action how it has been used in by Dynamic 365 team. So here you can see Dynamic 365 sales team. What they have done is that they have used the media API. And then what they have done is that they have taken all the important points that are discussed in the team meeting with their customers as notes. And then they had the entire transcriptions is also available. What they have done finally, they have attached both the things with the sales record in Dynamics 365. The next thing is meeting events. These are a new kind of Graph API categories, meeting events. With meeting events, you can automate your workflow. Currently, the meeting start and meeting end events are available. And these are one of the many events that are going to be supported in later this year. So how you can use these meeting events? Suppose consider that you have a ticketing system in your company. It can be your enterprise hub or whatever it can be. So whenever you are scheduling a meeting from your ticketing system and you want your entire ticketing system to have recording of the particular meeting, how you can do that? So when you are scheduling a meeting from your ticketing system, and you are adding your participants using Teams Graph API, you can start a team meeting. And then using meeting events, you can detect whether the meeting has been started and whether the meeting has ended. So once the meeting has ended, you can get the recording and attach it with the ticketing system. So this is a simple scenario where you can use meeting events to automate your existing workflows. And the next thing is Azure Communication Services. So before proceeding further on this, let me give a small introduction to what is Azure Communication Services. You might know Microsoft Teams and Skype has a reliable or a standard backend for audio and video services. What Microsoft done is that they have taken this entire services or the entire backend and they are offering it as a separate tool like Azure Communication in the name of Azure Communication Services. So Azure Communication Services is a turnkey set of communication platform services which has APIs and SDKs, which allows the developers to have real-time chat, audio, video, SMS capability built into their apps, websites, and whatever the devices can be. The real beauty is that now in the meetings that you have, the real beauty now here is that the meetings that you start using ACS can be attended from Microsoft Teams also. Let me give you a brief example how you can do this. Now consider that you have an app or you have a website where your customers can schedule a one-to-one demo with your company. So what they are going to do is that they come to your website. You have a bot service or something interface which uses ACS. There they will schedule a call. They will pick a time. They will provide all the contact information and everything. And they can request for a scheduled meeting. So once the request has been approved, what you can do is that you can trigger an SMS to your customer with the meeting link. So your customer can join the meeting using the particular meeting link that he has received in the SMS. With that meeting will be powered by ACS. And then the user will join, the customer will join the meeting and he will be waiting in the lobby. So the same meeting, your M365 internal users can join from the Microsoft Teams. And what he will be doing is that he will join the meeting and then he will let the user in the waiting in the lobby to join in the meeting, and then the conversation goes from there. So by this way, the Teams meetings and the meetings in the ACS can work together. That's the real beauty. So currently it is in preview. You can join the preview using the URL that I have shared here. So this is the sample thing. Here you can see the company which provides a scheduler from their website. So the user comes to the website, he select the time, uh, the convenient time, phone number, email, everything. And then the meeting is scheduled and the customer receives an SMS. With this SMS, the customer can join the meeting from his mobile or from his desktop, web, wherever he can be. So the same meeting can be joined from Teams meeting from by your internal M365 user. So next thing is Teams Connect or shared channel. So using Teams Connect, what many of you are aware what is Microsoft Teams Connect. Using Teams Connect, you can collaborate with the external users or you can collaborate with users in other Microsoft 365 tenant. So users from different Microsoft 365 tenant can work together using Teams Connect. That's the thing. But now in this build, what Microsoft done is that they have provided apps access to the Teams Connect also. Now let's see this in action. In the next clip, what we are going to see is that how Monday.com. Yeah, Monday.com is a project management solution, something similar to Trello, and how they are utilizing this Teams Connect. Let's see this. So we have an internal user. What he is going to do is that he goes to Monday.com and then he is going to add a new task for his external vendor or external user Loki. So he has assigned the task to him and then Loki comes to Monday.com and he changes the status that he has completed the task. So immediately your internal user can get the notification that Loki has completed the task. So you can see the real beauty. There are two users working across different Microsoft 365 tenant, a Loki and another user. So your internal user assigning a task for your external user Loki, in monday.com. He finishes the task and he make the changes, updates, whatever changes that he are making or providing updates in monday.com, your internal user will get. So see how the apps has been enabled for external collaboration between various Microsoft 365 tenants. Currently, this is also in preview. So to use Teams Connect, what you first thing is that you need to make updates to all your Teams SDK. That's the very first thing. Once you made the updates to your existing SDK, then what you need to do is that you need to make sure your app is aware of this Teams Connect. That is, you need to make sure your app should detect that is the app is working within the environment of Teams Connect. So you need to make some little changes in your existing app by calling to different graph APIs that I have shown in the screenshot. So the next thing is Together Scenes in Microsoft Teams. Many of you are aware about Together mode in team meetings. In Together mode, you will get some specific setups, custom setup scenes like conference call or a theater setup. So whenever the users are joined, earlier we used to have 7x7 or 9x9, I don't remember, set of squares where you see the video of different users, end users. And then we have the Together mode, where instead of this boring video squares, we got a conference room setup where you can see the people people are sitting together and discussing it, or it can be theater. Now assume that you can build these type of Together mode scenes easily without writing a single line of code. So that's the real beauty. So let's see how you can do this. You can do this from Microsoft Developer Portal. Previously, it is called AppSource. Teams apps. There is a Teams app called AppSource that has been renamed as Microsoft Developer Portal. Here you can see that the user comes to the Microsoft Developer Portal, and then he is going to create a new scene. To create a new scene, he needs to add the required assets, images, and everything. And then he needs to decide on the number of participants. And then he needs to arrange the participant positions. And he can even assign the spots for the meeting organizers and the presenters. And finally, making all the required changes for all your graphic assets, you need to provide a name for your scene. To test it, earlier to test a Teams app, you need to sideload it. Now, just click on the View in Teams button and follow the steps that is provided. That's it, you can test it. Once you are sure that the scene is perfect and it works fine, what you can do is that you can just share with your members. That's it. So everything without switching between multiple labs or places, you can design a scene, you can test it, and then you can share it, everything from the developer portal. Previously, it is called Teams AppSource. And the next thing is adaptive cards. So in adaptive cards, a lot of announcements has been made, but the important thing is that there are two important announcements which is related to adaptive cards. One is universal action cards. Earlier, if you are going to use adaptive cards in your Teams or in Outlook, and if you want to make any actions inside the adaptive cards like submit feedback or something, you might have some buttons in your adaptive cards. And if you are going to provide some actions using the buttons, the way of implementation in Outlook and Teams is different. So the developer need to make multiple efforts for using adaptive cards in Teams and Outlook. To avoid this problem, they came up with a new concept called universal action cards that will work across both Teams and Outlook. So once you design the adaptive cards, you can use it across the platform. The next update and the next important update related to team adaptive cards is adaptive cards in tabs. Using adaptive cards tabs, you can build personal app tabs without writing a single line of code using this adaptive cards itself. So This will look native in both desktop and mobile. Currently, I think it is available in desktop and mobile only, not in the web. So you can use your existing bar services and card investment and build a tab service easily in for Teams. And the next update is Activity Feed API. Many of you might know about this API earlier itself, but currently it is in GA now. So using Activity Feed API, what you can do is that your app can post notifications in Teams. The notifications can be regular banner notifications on desktop, or it can be a push notifications on the mobile. And you can decide what you can do on clicking that particular notifications. You can decide the landing page for clicking that particular notification or the activity feed in Teams. Like it can be chat, channel, personal apps, tabs, whatever it can be. So this is how you can easily customize it. In the below screenshot, you can notice that the user is getting a notification in his Teams, and when we click that notification, it opens an Outlook client. So this is how they have managed the Activity Feed API. So you can take the landing page to different places. That's the real convenience they have introduced in GA. And the next real beauty is messaging extensions in Outlook. So you already made a lot of investments in your Teams app development. And now what they have announced is that what are messaging extensions that you have built for Microsoft Teams that you can use in Outlook also. So without any further additional development effort, you build something for Teams and use it across all the productivity apps like Outlook. So again, this is powered by Bot Framework and Adaptive Cards. And this is the final update, Fluid Components in Teams. So using Fluid Components, what you can do is that instead of regular boring chat threads, you can build a Fluid component in your chat, in chat or conversation, wherever it can be, where the end users can add list, table, or actionable items, anything. And the important thing is that multiple users can collaborate together inside this Fluid component. And even you can collaborate across, the users can collaborate across multiple devices also. You can see here, the users are collaborating from mobile and from the desktop also. And then you can pin this Fluid component in your chat, and then even you can copy this component and paste it in your Outlook and send it to other users. So you have a single copy of Fluid component, and it is used by multiple users in multiple locations, like mobile, even multiple apps. We can see multiple apps like Teams or Outlook. Currently, it is in private preview. It is not available as a public preview or anything. You need to sign up for a private preview to try this. So this is one of the existing exciting feature announcement on build 2021. So these are some of the references that we have discussed so far. We will be sharing the slides and references, everything after the meeting. Thank you. Vignesh, over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Perumal. So for the next set of updates, we'll hand it over to Vinoda. All right, Vinoda, over to you.
Thank you, Vignesh. I'm going to share this.
Sure. Yep, you're good to go.
Yes. Hello everyone, I'm Vinoda, working as Solution Architect in GG Technologies Private Limited, and I'm a regular speaker and blogger in various topics of Microsoft 365. Today, let's see the updates related to Microsoft Graph Connector and Microsoft Search. And before that, let's see what is Microsoft Graph Connector. Using Microsoft Graph Connector, it allows you to, that is, you can allow the outside the organization to index third-party sources into Microsoft 365 environment. You can expand the content sources in Microsoft 365. That is, with the help of Graph Connector, you can connect external data sources inside Microsoft 365 environment. Let's see the search experience in Microsoft 365 using Graph Connector. First, we are going to see the search experience in SharePoint. Using Graph Connector, they connected external data source called Go1, which is the largest e-learning library. And this delivers digital education experiences to the customers shared with Microsoft 365. Here you can see that a courses tab is added. Under the courses tab, it lists all the sales courses from Go1, and which is the external data source. Here you can browse all the content related to sales courses from Go1. So this way, using data connectors, you can view the external data content inside SharePoint. And next, we are going to see this search experience in Bing. When you search about sales courses, and under the course section, it lists all the sales courses, sales course content from Go1. These results are same as which we have seen in SharePoint search experience. And next, we are going to see the search experience in Teams. For search experience of external data in Teams, a new tab called Apps is added, and under the Apps tab, you can see all the external data content which we have been connected through Graph Connector. And when you search about sales courses, and under the Apps tab, it lists all the sales courses content from Go1. And similarly, using the Microsoft Search messaging extension, you can view the external data source using which you have connected through Graph Connector. And in this search extension, under the external tab, you can search about sales courses, and it also lists the same results which we have been connected through Graph Connector from Go1. And the main thing is, when you click a particular course, it creates adaptive code in the Teams chat itself with course URL. In the right corner, you can see that this is the adaptive code created inside the Teams chat with course URL. And next, we are going to see search experience in Windows 10. Yes, in Windows 10 itself, you can browse the external data content in the Windows 10 itself. When you search about sales courses, it also gives you the same content about sales courses from Go1, which we have already seen in SharePoint, Teams, and Bing. And next, in office.com, we have already a recommended section. And in this recommended section, we have all the activities, such as when you opened file, or you accessed or shared a document. All the recent activities are under recommended section. So now the external data content also listed under this recommended and all feed section. That is, the external data source, such as in this example, the Go1 activities are all listed under this section. And you can notice that it also shows the metadata, that is the sales courses shared in Teams chat. Yes, now the search experience using Graph Connector in SharePoint, Bing, and Office is in generally available. And in Teams and Windows 10 is in public preview. And other than search experience, you can also, for example, if external data, external application or content is now supported in security and compliance, and it is in public preview. For example, if your compliance team is using e-discovery, and they are creating e-discovery case and gather information for review, then they can return not only data from Microsoft 365, but also the data from external data sources, which we have connected through Graph Connector. And the intelligent discovery is in private preview. Regarding this intelligent discovery aspects, we already seen that in office.com under the recommended and all feeds section, it lists all the activities related to external data content, which is connected through Graph Connector. And in this example, the Go one sent all those activities, that is when you open a particular file or share a file. So all those activities are sent to Microsoft Graph. And next update is search APIs. In the search API, you can also search external items with filtering. You have external, that is search external item API. Using this API, you can search external data which is connected through Graph Connector. And in the right side, you can notice that you can also narrow your search based on title, lost, modified, date. So you can narrow your search with the help of filtering in search APIs. And along with search API, you can also have a speller API. That is, if you type any incorrect spelling, then this API gives you correct spelling and also the correct results. And next update is profile enrichment. You know about profile card. Profile card gives you more information about the users in your organization. So if you want to enrich the profile of users, then you can use Graph Connectors and you can give more information from your external systems such as HRMS systems. So you can enrich the user profile using these Graph Connectors. And as administrator, you can do this profile enrichment in Search and Intelligence Admin Center under Customization section. And next update is continuous access evaluation. Normally, token expiration and refresh the token is a standard mechanism. For in case of access token, by default, it is valid for 1 hour. After it expires, the client have to request Azure AD to refresh them. So this refresh period provides an opportunity to reevaluate conditional access policies or other policies for user access, or at that time, some critical events may occur. So these problems degrades overall user experience and reliability in your application. So timely response to critical events or policy evaluation requires a conversation between Azure AD and the resource provider. So this conversation is done by continuous access evaluation. And this continuous access evaluation allows access tokens to be revoked based on critical events or policy evaluation. And these risks and policies are evaluated in real time, and it increases the token lifetime up to 28 hours. And these longer-lived tokens are proactively refreshed by Microsoft Authentication Library, and thereby it increases the resiliency of your application. And next, we are going to see the update on Authentication Methods API. And you know, many authentication methods in Azure AD are there. You have password authentication and phone authentication and FIDO2 security key and Microsoft Authenticator app, Windows Hello for Business, etc. So using these authentication, that is, you can use this authentication as a primary or secondary factor or step-up authentication. And now Azure AD Authentication Methods API are available, and using these authentication methods API, you can manage your user authentication. That is, you can manage the password, phone or FIDO2 security key or authenticator registration, etc. For example, using this API, you can add a phone number to a user, or you can retrieve details of a user's FIDO2 security key, or you can retrieve details of users, authenticator, registration, etc. And the last update is External Identities API. With the help of external identities, you can allow people outside your organization to access your apps and resources. And in two ways, you can collaborate with external identities. One is B2B and other is B2C. In business to business, you can collaborate with business partners outside the organization using their work school account or email account. In case of B2C, while you're developing customer-faced applications and you can manage millions of consumers through their Gmail, that is social accounts, Gmail, Facebook, or local account. So now, regarding Azure AD B2C, you know about user flows. User flows is a predefined configurable policies. And with the help of user flows, you can determine how users interact with your application. That is when they do things like sign in or sign up or reset a password, or when they edit a profile. So these, so you can create user flows, and you can also create custom user flows, and you can use those user flows in your application when you are needed. So now user flows API for B2C tenant is available, and using this API, you can list all the B2C user flows or get the user flows, or you can create, update, or delete user flows, and you can add or remove identity providers, and also you can retrieve or create custom languages in a user flow. That's all about the updates about Microsoft Graph Connector and Microsoft Search. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vinoda. All right. So, you there, Jenkins?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Jenkins. Over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Vignesh.
Thank you.
Welcome everyone. My name is Jenkins Enes. I'm a founder and director of JPower4. I'm also a MEP. Today I'm going to talk about Microsoft Power Platform. What are the new announcements released in Microsoft Build 2021? Okay. First, we can come with the we have huge number of releases. New announcement happened this MS Build for Power Platform, because we have now the Power Platform is enhanced, right? It's a lot of huge number of, let's say everyone, the names also changed and the new products are also attached. First it is Power Effects. This is a March month the Ignite announced. But what is Power Effects? That's a big question, right? Because people suddenly the new name is come, people confused on the name. Okay. When you think my Power Effects is a new name for the formula language for Canvas apps. Okay, it's a no new feature. It's a existing feature, but new enhancements are there. Okay, that's you need to understand that. Okay, it's a March they are renamed it and announced that with a new name, the Canvas apps. The reason is for FH is nothing but is a formula language. Whatever we are using in our Canvas apps, same like Excel formulas, right? Same thing. They are renamed it. Now in this MS Build, they are introduced a lot of new features, because for the formula language only available in Canvas apps. If you go to model driven apps or in the Canvas app itself, we don't have any other features like attaching any file to write a language like that, right? That are the new features added in the Power Effects. Okay, when you come to one by one, it's a new feature coming in Power itself will allow developers to build apps using natural language powered by GPT-3 natural language. That's they introduced, because the Power Effects is a open source and also it's a format of Excel and it's built for low code solution, right? Already it's a low code solution. The reason is totally based on the Excel sheet Excel formulas, same like DAX formulas in Power BI, right? The same thing. The new features uh, allows to extend the Power Apps Canvas app to model-driven commanding and dataverse calculating columns. And Essence will do preview in the June, right? Just previewed and it's available. Okay. When you come to Power Effects, okay, let's say first thing is you can see the language, the extracting and expanding the formula language. That is the Power Apps Canvas today already available. The same thing, they're coming with a language for everyone. Okay. When you come to language for everyone, it's very important as to us that we stand without any cliff. The spectrum from no code where you are not writing code, right? Because we are writing formulas. Feel that's the reason we are saying it's a low code solution. And also Microsoft always think about its various products because the users coming from the end user, that's a power users are there. We have admin users are there and pro developers as well as citizen developers. Citizen developer don't prefer to write any code like that, right? Let's say when you come to everyone can prefer to use like a Excel format, then they are familiar because Excel is last 20 years, Excel is there. Like they can easily adapt and they can able to learn from there and able to do anyone, or not even a citizen developers. That's the main reason low code solution is very powerful nowadays with the Power Platform. When you come to the language part, that's what's the new in here. The GPT-3, what is that? Already we are pointing out no code. Microsoft are announcing the build during the conference that saying that GPT-3 and Prose. That's a new language they are introducing. GPT-3 is well-known natural language processor that can take English statements and compile them into various other language. And Microsoft going to charge some more on it. Okay, let's say in the Power Effects, they are bringing in the GPT-3 because it's a like a YAML language we need to introduce. Okay, and Prose is a technology that we have had a Excel for quite some time before itself we have, and it's like a normal. This already is a built by Microsoft, already is available, already integrated with Power BI, Excel, and Visual Studio. Now it's sample code in GitHub also available. We can able to use it. Same thing they are trying to push inside to Power Apps. Okay, that's a we can able to write any image or any event that's you can able to communicate from your GitHub and take back. That's the target to bring the pros. And GPT-3 is totally it will understand any language. Okay, GTP was built by OpenAI, this artificial intelligence, a research and development company that's not part of Microsoft, but it's taken is a open source, right? That's the reason Microsoft taken. They build all the parameter, whatever the languages are adapt with the Power Apps, we can easily adapt with the language and bring the artificial intelligence, because nowadays artificial intelligence is the top, right? Because everyone prefer to use that. That based on that, we need to do all the development also because customer prefer on that. That's the reason GPT-3 is in the place, and auto-regressive language model that use deep learning to produce human-like test. Okay, that's it will return back. And PRO stands with program synthesis already is there. Pros research and engineering team at Microsoft. This is because it's a Microsoft built product and develops APIs for program, and it's already available Power BI, Excel, and Visual Studio. Okay, that's we can use. When you come to the natural language to code with GPT-3, there is an example to have happening here, right? You can see I'm creating a new list here in the gallery in the Canvas application, and I'm going to go and just going to type the natural language in here. Okay, what GPT-3 just come up with the formulas is automatically bringing the formulas. Okay, automatically whatever you are written, it's bringing the formula as a natural language would give you. Okay, that's the advantage of transform the natural language to the code is using the GPT-3. Okay, when you come to Prose, okay, that's a program by HM similar to the Pro to that in the GPT-3. Prose will have a example here in the right hand side. You can see you can type give example kind of transformation. I want to that data in the formula based. Okay, let's say easily manage and manipulate the data within the galleries and data tables by applying the patterns. Okay, it's like a pattern you need to transform the data. Okay, that's a both are little different. One is the natural language conversion. One is totally the pattern, or you want to bring some format to convert. That's able to do that. Okay, now we can understand already we have a products Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent. Now Microsoft Dataverse is already named as Common Data Services, and we have a Power FX. Now Power FX is a formula language they introduce. Okay, the Power FX is now the renamed it, and but it's lot of new feature added. That's the reason. Don't think only the formulas there. We have more functionalities are there. Okay, that's a it's a no code end with the spectrum. It's important to we provide tools that allow to no code person who are is a citizen developer, right? That's a Microsoft bring that. And also Microsoft planning to expanding the Power Efforts, not just for Power Apps. They are planning to bring Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent, and Dataverse. Just already started with a model-driven app and also with the Dataverse. Okay, the virtual agents and Power BI they are not planning to do because already that DAX formula is there. We are so huge DAX is there, right? If you are bringing something new, then again it's a big challenge. That's the reason Microsoft not touching the Power BI, but they are planning with virtual agents as well as Dataverse. In the virtual agents already they planned with some C# and JavaScript like that. Okay, language totally different way they are bringing it. Okay, when you come to Power Apps, already building the complex solutions using the Power efforts in the language. We are using the Canvas apps with all the different type of formulas, and if you want to use any lookup columns or you want to try to accomplish with the leveraging the efforts to you can say efforts formula bar and it's same style as Excel we can bring it. Okay, that's a familiar with the Excel. Whoever in the citizen developer any pro developers that can easily bring it because they are moved more related to Excel because people are moving to Power Platform is huge compared to the previous years. Nowadays, moving lot of projects are moving to Power Apps, and that's the reason Microsoft also pushing some easy way to bring to adapt. Okay, if your standard formulas there we need to bring something easy, same like the Excel, then people are easily adapted, right? That's the reason Microsoft tried to leverage the same pattern for people that we are very already familiar with in the Excel, right? The same thing they are bringing that same pattern, same way to understand. And language to collaboration. Later, Excel might change, right? That and also we have a Microsoft have a plan to GitHub integration. Okay, for example, we just see the right hand side the image. You can see we have icon, the person, the icon have a width, height, everything, right? That's they can you can add from the uh, GitHub. What is the way of you can handle GitHub? You can handle with a different type of languages, right? As that also, then we need to bring some familiar language. Okay, so if you give some different language, the end user or citizen developers unable to follow. That's the reason Microsoft introduced something easy to do. Whatever the test files or unique workflows, everything you can able to do that. Most of them familiar with the YAML part. Whenever using YAML, there itself we write all the formula. That's the advantage in Power Effects. Okay, the final we web script around. Let's say when you come to the format of similar YAML format, instead of inventing something new, Microsoft adapted the YAML standard. That's the industry today, already available for Docker, and we have Salesforce. Everywhere it's there. If different people are coming to adapt Power Apps, easy to adapt, right? Because YAML is all over the place they are using. Okay, that's it. The same already familiar format Microsoft introduced and included with the Visual Studio Code. Okay, the same formula you can return whatever you written in the address bar, right? Now we have a chance to write using your Visual Studio Code. Now you are become a programming like that it will do, but you are still using the same format. Okay, whatever you are writing is no difference. You can, for example, I'm writing for my label bars. What is the properties? What is everything you are selecting in the left side properties or in the property window? You're changing the same thing you write in a code. That's another advantage is we can easily deploy and everything, right? We can able to modify everything, easily manipulate. I don't want to depend with the always open the Power Apps and do that. You can able to do from your Visual Studio Code. That's a developer point of view. This is very useful and they can easily adapt because YAML is not same whatever formula you're returning. You can use the YAML format and you can doing that. Only difference on that. Okay, already the already I told about it. For Power efforts is it's moving to everywhere. It's in the general purpose or Excel formula, data flow engine, or it's in the logic or wherever we are using the Power Platform, it's available. Okay, simple like Excel normal formula, whatever you're using the same thing available in the Stack Overflow in the screen, right? That's the same formula applicable for Excel without VBA. That's a very Visual Basic advanced version. Just the Excel formula, you can see the same formula. It's work for your Power Apps. Okay, no difference on that. Okay, that's just we are changing the cell name. Here the text box we are using, there is a cell name A1 is using. That's the only difference we can identify and understand. That's much easy to adapt. Okay, the main thing we are doing that. The second part, that's say already released and the Microsoft already using that. Only thing is the GPT 3 as well as the pros are introduced and adapt, and the ML is also integration. I believe it's within 1 or 2 months, everyone, the general availability will be there. Now it's in preview. Okay, now the second feature is model driven commanding and power efforts. Okay, let's say model driven is very famous because it's depend with the Dynamic 365 and common data service. That's with the Dataverse, right? People are using who are preferred with the process oriented application development. They're using model driven application, right? Apps. Okay, Microsoft announced commanding is done through scripts, through JavaScript. Okay, let's say we can say we have another announcement already did. Microsoft did that model driven have a new app designer because already we have another classic app designer, but the new app designer have some limitation for some of the features not yet enhanced, but still Microsoft doing that to create a business process flow or everything still in available only in the classic designer. You can able to go with a new designer. It's look like a canvas app development, right? That's similar format, and we can able to use the power efforts. That's a biggest thing, right? We need to able to bring that. If you're writing some JavaScript code, because we have a possible to write JavaScript code in model driven app, but the biggest challenge is if you are asynchronous code or everything you need to handle, right? Microsoft replacing that with a new designer and that same formula bar that you see here in the top right. You can see that the same thing they introduced, and there you can write your formula instead of whatever you already written with the JavaScript or mapping. That's the biggest challenges. Everything we moved with and lot of advantages. Easy to do that, and we can easily identify all the tables in the Dataverse, everything, and we can able to modify. That's the biggest big release in Power Efforts with the model driven apps. Okay. Yeah, this you can able to see the full screen of this window. We can see the patch function they are adding for model driven app. Normally patch we written only for Canvas app, right? Now we are able to use these all functions what we did for Canvas apps. All the functions also you can able to use from the to your model driven apps. That's the advantage. Okay, we can identify, look up the table and get it. Everything you can able to use the power efforts. That's a formula oriented language. Okay. The another next release is Dataverse calculator columns. Dataverse means common data services. The new name is Microsoft Dataverse, right? Dataverse calculator column, the command enable users to manipulate and manage their data. Okay. For the Excel like formula bar from there you can able to modify your calculator column, right? Because already we don't have a Excel like formulas. Okay, the Excel like formula bar in Power Apps Canvas component, right? The same thing we can have a move in the commands section also. We can have a able to do the formula calculator formula. We can do like a Excel formula. It's previously in the SharePoint also we have same model they are Microsoft Indeed. Now it generally they are trying to bring the same format for everywhere. Then all users or any citizen developer can easily land and they can come adapt the product, right? That's the reason Microsoft pushing everything in the same format. All makers can manipulate the data without having a switch UI or kick off your new workflow using a language that's a familiar with. Okay, they say already what's we need to do when you're writing a calculator column. Always you need to write a business rules. Okay, the business rules, everything we need to write in the formula. You can do from in there. Already multiple screens are open. We need to align it and write map the details, everything that also available you can able to do, but still we have advantages. We can use our uh, normal these item dot like that, we can able to identify the columns and able to do all the validation. That's the biggest advantage in Canvas app. Whenever you are adding sales stats, you can get the calculation unit price into 0.10, that's 10%. We are getting the value and you can writing that's it directly. You can able to bring the values as a formula. Okay. The next introduction is Accomptia and FX. That's a new product adapted by Microsoft. Okay. That's a industry leading cloud-based enterprise resource planning company. That's a ERP platform that offers cloud ERP with modules like financial, inventory management, CRM, payroll, and many more. They are totally a ERP system. I mean, everyone knows, right? ERP, enterprise resource management planning system, like a Salesforce or a Siebel, like that products. Okay, but they are introduced a lot of already having a code like JavaScript, everything. Now, because of Microsoft, they are adapted for Power Efforts. Okay, leverage the well-known code Excel language with Power Efforts in your own application. That's why they are trying to bring that. Okay, that's a another advantage. Who are already using this platform, they can able to adapt easily. We don't need to write all the codes. They can easily include all the calculator columns, because everywhere we have a calculator column, right? That's also payroll, everything we need a calculator, because systems we can allow to same like this is a platform, same like SharePoint. That is another platform. There the ERP solution we can able to modify. Microsoft explore how we can leverage the efforts, power efforts within the product, and also they can take it with Microsoft. That's they are doing that. Okay, these are the new features from the power efforts, and the main thing is in the power efforts architecture itself they are changed. Okay, let's say you can see that when you see the formula bar uh, written in the JavaScript built-in Monaco already is there in that for your Power App systems. Okay, when you that is JavaScript all more available for Canvas apps and model driven, because it's running in your browser, right? Because of the browser concept, they are using the Canvas apps and model driven uh, commanding section as well as the data was using the JavaScript. When you come to analysis, like your Power Virtual Agent, that's they are using C#. Whenever they are doing the Power Efforts integration with virtual agent, then you can using the C# because it's a bot conversational bot, right? That's the reason they're including that product. Okay. Together, everything's available in your mobiles and everywhere. No, without any issues, everything's available in every different devices using, right? Nowadays every power platform have their own app also, everything's working. And also when you go to the dataverse, it will utilizing T-SQL. That's architecture in the beginning, but still in the top you are using Power Efforts. Now you understand, right? Background is different. Canvas apps, model run, everything JavaScript, right? And Power Virtual Agents, um, using the C# as a runtime environment. And if you are going to the dataverse, it is using the TSQL query concept. All together in the front end, we are using Power Efforts. No need to write anything. That's the reason the easy is easy to do. Okay, you can write a code in the JavaScript. What it will do? It will take us of asynchronous calls and delegate that, send to the server. It's a big challenges, right? Let's say then project that only retrieves what it needed. Let's say always you need to do all the query with asynchronous. These all taken care by the Power Apps efforts. Just you can see the above the hello lookup column. We are taking the data from test apps DBR list and the score greater than min score, right? Dot name. The same thing you are return in your JavaScript take time, as well as you need to verify any error handling you need to do, any record scope or the same syntax as itself we need to accommodate. Type checking, everything you can no need to worry about it, because it's everything taken care by the Power Efforts. Run only as needed and automatically on demand of min score changes. Same formula for databases and local tables. And error handling. Error handling is very important, right? Whatever error you can easily identify and tell you. When you're writing your JavaScript, obviously you need to take care of all the error handling. Everything. That's the reason Microsoft no need to write any JavaScript code, anything. It's automatically converted to bring that. Okay. Then the same expressions or same. And final thing is the roadmap, how we are bringing for the Power Efforts concept. You can see June 2021, they are planned to bring, but still it's not available everywhere. they are releasing. Okay, end of 2021, we can get all the places and the data was calculated columns, everything coming by. I believe one or this month will available or this next month soon will be there one by one. What about the general availabilities? You can get the F4 efforts in all the places like model driven apps or Dataverse or your Power Automate. Okay. Next one is I'm talking about Power BI because of time concern, little go faster. Okay. When you Power BI part, we can see a lot of new changes in the AI powered development. Okay, that means the the new capability to enable the developers to save time and build more complex solution using natural language. Already we are talking about natural language, right? That's natural language to build the DAX calculation instead of writing code. That's another advantage of they are introducing AI powered development. Okay. The second one is they are introducing natural language to DAX generation powered with the GPT-3. The same power develop. First one they are uh, generating DAX calculation. Second one is DAX generation powered by GPT-3. That's the same thing only. We can have a GPT-3 already I explained, right? Let's say we can type your in any languages, it automatically convert as a formula. Same thing you can doing for a DAX. That's also similar to Excel formula, but it's have some extra features are there compared to Power Efforts. That's the reason Microsoft not renaming the DAX to Power Efforts because a lot of other features because it's a reporting system, right? It's something dashboard you need to generate. That's the reason they are not changing much. Okay, and Microsoft the capability for customers to use natural language to describe what they are trying to accomplish, and also Power BI automatically create a DAX expression for them. That's the biggest advantage they are doing, and it helps developers save time from searching, writing, and refining the formulas. At Microsoft Build, uh, they are demonstrating. That's why you can able to see the video, you can able to see the formula, but still it's not available to show here as a demo. Okay. And the next one is Microsoft collaboration with OpenAI. This already collaborated with Power Apps also, right? These are features leveraging the OpenAI GPT-3, the same again GPT-3. Um, that's a generative pre-trained transformer. That's already in the market is a OpenAI. Okay. It's advanced natural language AI model trained with 175 billion parameters that implements deep learning to able to both understand and produce human-like test-based prompt of natural language. That's a what is saying. Whatever you're writing, automatically will understand because already 175 million parameters they are already understand and do trained, it will giving a solution. That's why you can easily bring the formulas from your words, whatever you're typing. Okay. Then we have a automatic aggregation on Power BI. The huge organizations like big organization using the retail market, right? That's a massive volumes of data in Power BI. That's the Power BI introduced the aggregations. Okay, while combining the best of Power BIs in memory capacities with the big data capacities in Azure Analytics and also big data source to provide fast interactive analytics. Right, that's because of lot of places little complained about the performance with the big data. Has a huge TB data are there. That scenarios they are improving the aggregations over the trillions of rows of data. Okay, that's a trillions of rows of data. They are improved that. Okay, and building the aggregation in Power BI record to data engineer to analyze and telemetry and design an optimized set of tables that enable the most common queries to be handled by Power BI. That's they are improved a lot and they're bringing that. Okay, this it will happen automatically. No need to do anything from your end. Okay, just you can did the telemetry and design the optimized set of tables, then it's automatically happen. Okay, this new capability use the machine learning model to analyze. In the background, it's happening a machine learning because now machine learning is very popular. They are using that. Okay, the query patterns and everything they are using. Okay, then streaming the data flows. That's a Power BI Premium only it's available. It's not available for your Pro or your basic license. Only available for Premium. It's include the automation APIs as well as streaming our data flows and automatic aggregations. Okay, that's the advantage is it's sorry, streaming data flows allow every business analyst to work with streaming the data with beautiful drag and drop format. That's the biggest advantage. Okay, because of drag and drop format and there's a no code experience, you will be able to mix and match your streaming data because Pro not required because it's already doing by your Microsoft infrastructure. Premium is your own capacity you are brought, your license is there. That's it's allow you to do all the stuff. User can connect to streaming the data using the Azure IoT Hub and Azure Event Hub right now it's in preview. We can able to use. Okay, make confidence decision in real time and also accelerate the time to insight. That's all the biggest changes there. Customers like Grab have the leverage streaming data flows in private preview, testing and benefiting from the power of streaming data capability beyond what current solutions can offer it, while providing business users with potential faster and better insights. Okay. That's the other big changes when you come to the new biggest announcement is Jupyter Notebook integration with Power BI embedded. Okay, I hope everyone had about. We have a portfolio called normally we do have a Power BI desktop. We have a Power BI Pro like capacities in the premium, and we have a report server. And one more thing, we have a Power BI embedded. That means we want to share some report to outside of your network, if your customer or your vendor, somewhere you want to share. That scenario, we use the Power BI embedded concept, right? That we need to use our Azure AD client secret, and we can enable with the license. Without license, they can able to access the report, corresponding report they can access. For the same thing, now Jupyter Notebook. What is the purpose of Jupyter Notebook? Because today Jupyter Notebook is also another open source tool. This is a developer open source software, open standard, because it's Python based application they are developing using Jupyter Notebook. Okay, because it's a simply write and get the data. That's a web based interactive development environment for whatever your code data or whatever. It's very flexible and configure, and you can able to arrange a user interface to support a wide range. You can multiple instance you can create like that. You can able to do. That's a Jupyter Notebook. Okay. From there, Microsoft introduced and given to the Jupyter Notebook. Okay, whenever they are preferred to use, because people are analyzing the data using the Jupyter. You can provide live reporting, educational visualization, or quick access to analysis, and save views in production context. And also, you can do Python updates or your R formula updates, everything, and you can analyze and get the data from the Jupyter Notebook. Lot of people are using that who are working with the Python background. Okay, that's it's very popular, and people are right now they are, because it's a fully artificial intelligence based the integration. Okay, it will identify all the your reports and bring lot of analyzing report use cases to clear it from the outside. It's not in your Power BI desktop or it's totally integrated with Jupyter Notebook. It's just a report, but you can able to bring the report and analyze the report and bring some data from there and able to do the dashboard. Out of the dashboard you can use lot of achieve lot of use cases. Okay, that's a main advantage. Microsoft integrated, these are people are very happy because who are already using Jupyter Notebook, they are preferred to use this one. Okay, but always remember that you need to set up all your credentials and the authentication part. We have a two type of authentication. One is device authentication, another one is a user based. Mostly the device authentication is helpful to bring because mostly the vendors or customer using this type of reports analyzing using the embedded Power BI. Okay, they say release, and it is already available. You can able to use it. Okay. The another one is Process Advisor from Power Automate. Okay, Process Advisor as a new component of Process Automate, a recommend process to automate and enable users without extending the code or ability to automate the repetitive task. Let's say we have a RPA solutions you are added in your Power Automate, or that scenario it's very useful, the Power Advisor. Okay, it's by default, if per user plans it's available, you can able to use, but it's in preview status. Soon it will available the same month. Okay, Process Advice help you to gain insights about which parts of your process would be best to automate, and also identify which activities take the most time, and also discover which activities are repeated the most, likewise you need to improve your automation, okay, because it's give all the output says these actions are having problem, everything it will provide, okay. Improve efficiency by understanding where the bottlenecks, because right now we don't have like these tools are available. That's right now. People are struggling to identify where is it. Yesterday also I got one question from a customer, where I can track it all this my whole flow, where is my problem happen, any insights to understand. Let's say already Microsoft introduced, you can able to use. Let's say we can automation for the modern world, okay. Let's say we think about automation, how people operate. We can see how some of the best organizations are powered by these things they are using, okay. How they are repeatedly daily task and bow down by smart repo automation, okay. That's the main thing. When you come to automation world, always you think about RPA, right? The robotic uh, process automation. Okay, that's a very important one. Okay, then when you come to that, always you are trusting starting with the robotic process automation, UI based automation to automate the activities. That's the reason Microsoft changed the name to Flow to Power Automation. Okay, that's why you need to remember that we have a biggest change, and we have artificial intelligence with that, and we have digital process automation, and with business process management, everything you can be able to do. It's not the island, right? It's having all the stuffs in the single place. Now everything you can able to use the process advisor to manage, because people are struggling with that, because it's a new tools. People want to know more, but implementation is very easy. Process advisor, let's say six steps started. You can see the normal process, and you can create, share, record, edit, analyze, and automate, like a testing, automated testing, right? We can do all this, and it will all give the proper report. Okay, single step process. Sorry, six easy step process. Create the process, understand better, then share it to your colleagues to get breadth of experience by having everyone record what they do. Then using our tool, prepare the recording you have, right? Because sharing only real time problem you can understand. Okay, to your team for 10 members, or you can plan some team and do that. Okay, that's a process advisor. You can able to get all the insights, handling any load, more loading, everything you can handle. Okay. Next one is Fusion Teams. Always you can think about teams, right? Microsoft Power Platform is the best way for teams to build together. Okay. When you come to Fusion Teams, let's say allow your business to better build better application faster by bringing together. What is the main advantage of Fusion Teams? New Fusion development learning, that you can have a developer plans, or you have a right, plus new developer plans for Power Apps and Power Platform. And we have a common line interface. That's a CLI support for source code files and packaging. Okay, and a native Microsoft Power Platform, Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code integrations you can able to do. And we can packaging, independent publisher, and capabilities, and apply the cycle management acceleration. Okay, and new Visual Studio Code extension available for these with the Power Apps platform, whatever Canvas apps or Power Apps portal development. Right now, Power Apps portal development is very not easy, right? Because they have a UI from your Visual Studio, sorry, browser. They are unable to do all the stuff that the Fusion teams will provide. And now we can able to use the extension, Visual Studio Code extension for Power Apps portal development, whatever the web page development, right? Integrating the canvas of everything, you can easy to do from Visual Studio Code. Now you can understand that everyone moving to Visual Studio Code extension, Visual Studio Code with the extension. Okay, normally Teams app development also they're doing, right? Same like that, they are moving that. We can everyone in the open source development. That's say Microsoft also pushing everyone easy to do, integrate and do together. Okay, and also we have a independent publisher connector certification is there, and also custom code to your custom connector able to do, because before that we don't have any custom connector with the code, right? Always you need to go your custom connector and create a new blank environment, and we can give the URL everything. Now you can able to do with the custom code with your Visual Studio Code extension, and able to develop and deploy in your Power Apps as well as Power Automate. That's a new feature using Fusion Teams. Okay. Then the final one, Power Virtual Agents. I'm give another 2 minutes. I'll close it. Don't worry. Okay. Power Virtual Agent is already very popular, but the license part is moving slowly, but people are started using the conversation bots, right? Whenever using now they introduced a new feature. It's introduced only in December 2019, right? And it's a low code power platform. People are easy to build their bot, conversation bot, and they can able to share any environment, any websites or everywhere, or your teams or your any application, but it should be a licensed one, user based one you need to bring. Now they're bringing the new feature called bot composer framework. Okay, that's a main thing is whenever you are using the Power Virtual Agent, we have some limitation. Okay, the user can enhance the bot by developing custom dialogues with the bot framework. Already Microsoft planning to bring inside the Power Efforts. Maybe it's in 6 months or 1 month, 1 year. They introduce the Power Efforts in the Power Virtual Agent. Then you have more features there. Now they are introduce the bot framework composer, and you can able to deploy or host everywhere in the bot content. Okay, that's another advantage is whenever you are using the framework composer, right? You can go and add your conditions or your expressions or regular expression, whatever you want, and using the code format. That's the advantage. We don't have a format like that. We need to do as only option is able to do as a flow, right? Now it's the advantage. You can able to add a composer bot framework composer and you can bring it. That's main reason is Microsoft planning to bring more feature integrate with the Power Virtual Agent from the cognitive services. Right now we have only conversation based bot, right? They are moving forward. They're bringing that. Okay. Okay, that's a whenever see the screen, you can able to understand that. Okay. When you come to the want to update any service inside that, you can able to update and it will automatically available for once you're ready. This you can integrate all the bot framework composer, develop and integrate here. That's a benefit. Okay, that's all in mind. You can learn from this reference about composer and every product, all the Power Platform. There's a new features all available as a preview. Power Efforts, some of the features are there and others are still coming. I believe July you will available. Please refer it and learn from that. Okay, thank you. Any questions now, Vignesh? Yeah, you can take it.
Yeah. So yeah, I see a couple of. Thank you so much, Jenkins, Peramal, and
Thank you.
Vinodas. So folks, we'll open up for the questions now. So speakers, I see a couple of questions in the chat. Feel free to go over that and start answering them. And just in case if any of the attendees, if at all you want to unmute yourself and ask questions, we have 5 more minutes left. So now would be the right time for that. Thank you.
Hey, one quick question on the Power Apps on the GitHub using the YAML site, right? So I see that would probably be